proud to say that we are a technology company, and in technology we are in the people's business. And what we do essentially is build products which are for creating and enabling high-speed data and optical networks in the world. So for example, if you download any bits of internet or data, the backhaul infrastructure, the optical fiber infrastructure, the electronics that is running on top of that is what we really do. So as a company, there are really few things which I wanted to talk about. There are 4 anchor aspects of our business. One is we are all about innovation, technology, intellectual property, and design. Second is that from a business perspective, as long as there is data growth in terms of usage by customers or human beings or machines in future when we get to 5G, we are in a business that we have to provide more and more data, and we enable that. Third, I want to talk about that India is the world's most competitive telecom market, and against global competitors from all around the world, we are in the top 2 in market share in India, and that makes us very proud that we can really have designed and made in India products which are not just successful in India, but we are also exporting to 60 countries around the world. And the last, which I wanted to talk about also, was the aspect that a product company from India, a deep technology product company from India, has a very disruptive business model. And I think that's something which we are starting to see, and I would also like to talk about the cost and capital efficient business model that we have in the company. So coming back to very basics of what we do, I know some of you might have already read the material that is there, but from a very simplistic perspective, when you look at a telecom network, there are 2 aspects of it. One is how you get onto the network, which is your 2G, 3G or 4G smartphone. And once you get onto the network, then all your voice, video, data has to be transported from point A to point B. And it goes on, if it can, it should go on an optical fiber network. Because optical fiber is the only technology on which you can have future-proof and high-capacity networks. So our equipment, which you see at the bottom of this chart over here, these are the boxes that we make, which are the piece of electronics hardware. But just to give you a sense that while our equipment performs the function of transmission of voice video data from point A to point B, there's a lot of intelligence into the equipment. And the intelligence is really needed because when it was voice-based networks in the past, everything was fixed and predictable. As soon as you go to database networks, everything becomes unpredictable, and things really, capacities and everything else changes. And that is really where the software comes into the picture. So what we have in Tejas, for example, for every hardware engineer that we have in the company who makes all this hardware, we actually have 2 software engineers. And that is really where the differentiation in the product comes from. And as you all know, today in the entire networking industry and telecom equipment, the differentiation comes from software. And as a country, India has made a world reputation in terms of high capability software development, and we are really leveraging that to build a company which is software differentiated hardware products which are becoming very successful in the market. Second thing I want to talk about is the data. If you really see, and I'm sure in the last 6 to 9 months, all of us have experienced what really data means in terms of how lives are getting transformed, how people are using mobile phones, smartphones, and so on. So as far as our business is concerned, we are kind of agnostic to who generates data. It could be a 2G phone, 3G phone, 4G, it could be a home, it could be an entertainment system, it could be cloud services, IoT, machine to machine, whatever. So as far as we are concerned, whether it's 2G, 3G, 4G or 5G, we will have the equipment, and we do have our equipment which can automatically and easily and cost efficiently carry data from point A to point B. So in that sense, the technology or who the generation or the user of data doesn't matter to us, except that the more data that gets generated, the better for our business, because it allows us to build higher capacity backbones. So that's one part I wanted to talk about. Second part I also wanted to talk about is that in India, for example, a lot of the networks so far were built mostly for carrying voice. Now going forward, as we all know, a significant part of the growth in the Indian telecom industry will be on data. So from our customers' perspective, who are telcos, a significantly larger portion of their capex or capital investments is now going to be coming into building a higher capacity data infrastructure, which will again be on optical transmission equipment of the kind that we do. So that is another thing I wanted to highlight, that while the industry is going to be focusing more on data, and they will have a shift of their capex in terms of the total capex, a significantly larger portion is expected to come into the optical transmission part, which is what we enable. As a global company, we also look at what is our global addressable market. So for the equipment that we design and manufacture, it's a $16 billion per year industry growing at a rate of about 6%. And in the segment of the business that we operate, which is the optical aggregation, we are very proud to say that we are number 6 in the world, competing against all the global players. And the reason for worldwide demand of data or optical transmission going up is again data. So people in many advanced geographies already have an optical fiber infrastructure, which is the passive infrastructure, but the bandwidth creation on top of that, the electronics or the transmission equipment, they are going to have higher and higher capacity. So if there was a customer who was using 1 gigabit per month, is now using 1 gigabit per day, so you of course need to upgrade the infrastructure. Whereas in the emerging markets, which is developing countries like India and many other countries in Southeast Asia, Africa and Latin America, there are again two forms of growth drivers. One, many places do not have optical fiber infrastructure, so you need to lay that infrastructure and then put the electronics. And wherever there's optical fiber infrastructure, you have to increase the capacity of the network. So there's a capacity increase driver, and then there's a reach driver in terms of penetrating more fiber into the network. Both of them together, we believe that we are in a long-term cycle of optical infrastructure growth because the data is going to be growing for a very long period of time to come. Now let's come closer to home in India. So in India, if you see in the last 18 months or more specifically in the last 12 months, there's been significant increase in the use of data on smartphones, as a result of which the amount of traffic in the networks has dramatically increased. Now one interesting thing which happened in India is because there was a lot of focus initially on getting voice customers, the way the networks in India have got built is that a majority of the cell towers are currently connected on a microwave radio, and only 20% of the cell towers have a fiber optic connectivity. Now what that meant is that microwave technology is good enough when you are carrying voice, but when you have to have data, the microwave technology cannot scale up to the right level, and that is why you need a fiber optic infrastructure. So you will suddenly see that this 20% of cell sites which are on fiber have to increase to a significantly larger number. And just to give you a sense of where other countries in the world are, China, for example, have around 80% of their cell towers connected to fiber, and US is around 90%. And as a result, there's a lot of pent-up demand for upgrading the infrastructure on optical fiber in India. And as a result, as per OVM, which is the world's leading market research firm in this business, India is going to be the world's fastest market in terms of optical equipment and optical infrastructure growth, because A, we have a very large size market, and secondly, because there has been underspending on optical infrastructure, there's going to be a lot more infrastructure investment going forward. And that is again something where we are feeling that there's a lot of opportunities in terms of growth. The next one is, in addition to what the operators on the private side are going to do in terms of building higher capacity networks, especially in the cities, because the intercity connectivity is there, but within the metros and within the towns, the fiber infrastructure is not there. The government of India also has two very interesting and very large and ambitious projects, which are very important from the country's point of view. As a part of the Digital India program, which everybody talks about, there is a project called BharatNet, where 250,000 villages or gram panchayats are being connected to the nearest block or tehsil on optical fiber infrastructure, which is using the transmission equipment that we design and manufacture. So that is certainly going to convert a significant part of India, the rural India, which is not yet connected. It is connected on 2G, but that's not enough for all the digital services and all the future services. So that entire rural infrastructure is being funded by the Government of India. Government of India is also funding smart cities. And again, the backbone of smart cities is again going to be an optical network, because the amount of data that the smart cities will generate, the video surveillance, all the machine and everything else. So there's a huge demand that the Government of India is going to create in terms of their spend in optical fiber infrastructure from rural perspective as well as in the smart cities. And the private operators in India are of course going to upgrade the network, which were primarily for voice in the past, to data going forward. So the two together, we feel there's a lot of excitement in the Indian market. Secondly, as a part of the Make in India program, Government of India again has some interesting schemes called preferential market access, which basically says that if there's an Indian product available for any government funded project, they would buy that. And again, we as an Indian company where the products are designed and manufactured in India have an advantage of those preferential market schemes of Government of India. So as a result, if you can see, India is possibly going to be one of the most exciting markets in the world, which is transforming from a voice-based infrastructure to database infrastructure, and optical transmission equipment of the kind that we do is going to be enabling that. So that is something which I just wanted to mention. Whatever is happening in India is also happening in Southeast Asia, in Africa and Latin America, because those countries also have India-like needs. So success in India is a very, very good reference point in those countries which are going to be very high growth market. And as Tejas, we are also focusing in addition to India into those markets. In terms of products, so what do we do in our products which is different than our global competitors which are much larger in size, and why do we win and why have we won all the customers in India and around the world in 60 countries? So the reason is very simple. Going forward, the telecom equipment, the significant part of the technology differentiator of a telecom equipment comes from software. And what Tejas has done is very unique in terms of the product architecture, where we have taken the hardware which I mentioned earlier, and we have the capability to reprogram the chips which are inside. So we use something called programmable silicon chips. So we can actually reprogram the chips where, for instance, the same equipment could be used for carrying 2G, for 3G and 4G and now 5G in future. So being able to reprogram the chips at the hardware level and then having the software layer on top which allows you to have all the flexibility, we are able to create an equipment where the operators have a lot of flexibility, they can update capacity, they can add new features, and from our point of view there's a lot of design reuse as well as time to market advantage, because when you do things in software you can do it much faster than you can do it in hardware. So really when the balance of power, if you were to, has shifted from hardware to software in the telecom equipment space, that is really what we are able to leverage quite efficiently and basically take advantage of our presence in India, which is a large home market, as is a lot of technology based in terms of software professionals. I also wanted to mention that there's a lot of IPR we have generated. So when I talk of these programmable chips, we have more than 250 silicon IPs or intellectual property blocks, which are, think of 250 chips that we have created. We have filed more than 333 patents, and we are among the largest patent filers in the entire ICT industry in India, and many of them are global patents. And all of this means we are, by the way, for example, also participating in the 5G standardization efforts in the world. So really we have to track the latest standards. We have to use IPR, you have to use technology, you have to use your capabilities in India and really build a world-class product company which is not just successful in India but all around the world as well. In terms of our product and quality, I must mention, we are in the business where reliability of the equipment is extremely important, and we are very proud to say that we have a 99.999% reliability, which means that when our equipment works in the field, and it could be remote parts of anywhere in the world, per year you get less than 15 minutes of downtime. So that gives you the capability of on continuous operation basis. So that is the level of quality and reliability one has to build, and we have successfully done that. We are also one of the few companies in India which is a TL9000 certification, which is kind of the gold standard in terms of telecom equipment around the world and is recognized as a high standard of quality. So we have really built high quality, highly reliable, latest technology and cost competitive, because India has been one of the most cost competitive and toughest market in the world. And despite having competitors from around the world, we've been able to successfully win a lot of customers and establish a base. Let me now talk of the fourth aspect which I mentioned, which is the business model of a product company in the tech sector in India. So really, we all know that one of the big factors for India's success in the IT services has been cost arbitrage, where you could do something for $100 in the US, you could do it for much lesser number of dollars in India. We have been able to take advantage of the same high quality but cost effective R&D talent, and we have lots of very capable people in the country. And in fact, in Tejas, we have 600 people, as I mentioned, in the total company. We have 310 in R&D. And many of our initial R&D people, architects, are people like myself, Arnab and others, who chose to come back to India after studying in India, studying in the US, working for many years. And that makes the core foundation of our team. And subsequent to that, we've been hiring top talent from all the premier institutes in India. So R&D and technology is something which is our forte, except that because we are in India, we are able to do a significantly large amount of R&D for the same dollar compared to any company in the Western world. As a result, our R&D efficiency is much higher. Secondly, because of our unique approach of taking a programmable architecture and a programmable silicon, programmable hardware approach, which is what we call software-defined hardware approach, we are able to do a lot more efficiently because there's a lot of reuse of design. Secondly, our manufacturing we again have taken a very interesting model in terms of how we manufacture our products. So rather than setting up all the factories ourselves, we outsource all our manufacturing to contract manufacturers. So in that sense, our business model is similar to Apple, where the actual manufacturing is not done by Apple but done by other companies. So we outsource our manufacturing to contract manufacturers in India. So they set up the factories, they set up all the large capacities, and we basically focus on the software, the hardware, the chip design, the branding, sales, marketing support, and so on. And as a result, we are able to significantly increase our production or revenues without consequently adding manufacturing expenses. So we are a very, very capital light, asset light model where all that capital heavy investment is outsourced. Our main investment in terms of capital is R&D and people. So our majority of our costs, operating costs, are basically salaries and manpower costs. Rest everything else in terms of the factory is what we outsource. What that has allowed us to do is something very, very interesting. So in our industry, if you look at it on a net basis, net of the taxes and everything else, at a 38% gross margins, we are able to do around 16% operating expenses, and we are able to deliver 22% EBITDA. This is significantly better than any of our global peers, which I'm sure you can see, where they have a challenge because they have a lot more investment that they have to make in R&D, and similarly in terms of the other operating costs. So I think being in India, we are able to take advantage of the cost efficiency, in terms of manpower cost efficiency, lot more R&D, lot more technology development, while still maintaining a very healthy financial. And that is something which allows us to scale, because in our business, as we sell more products, our operating costs are more or less fixed because they are manpower related. So they increase at a certain level, but the top line growth can automatically contribute to the bottom line because the gross profits essentially go in that direction, which I will show in a slide or so. In terms of our customer relationship, we are in almost all the major operators in India. In terms of the PSU operators, we have the private operators, some are named, some are not named, but they are already our customers as well. And internationally, we sell under two models. So the emerging markets, which is Southeast Asia and Africa and Latin America, we sell directly under our brand name. And in the advanced markets like US, Europe and Japan, we are OEM suppliers to companies like Ciena, which is the largest company in North America, so that we get advantage of their global sales presence and their relationship without having to correspondingly spend sales dollars. As a result, we are able to keep our costs quite comfortable, at the same time grow the business healthily. Our business is a very sticky business, so in the sense that once you're into a network operator once and he makes a selection, then as long as his network grows, you basically get a piece of his capex. So as a result, you can see 88% of our revenues are from repeat customers. Our customers are very large companies like telcos and so on. So 58% of our revenues come from top 5 customers, and 22 customers have been using our products for more than a decade. So I think that gives you the sense of the customer stickiness that we have in our business. So really, from a growth strategy, it's actually relatively simple. India is one of the largest markets in the world, transforming from a voice-based infrastructure to a data-based infrastructure. We are already into government networks, we are into private networks, and as the investment in data infrastructure grows, we are well poised to take advantage of that, and we have a range of products which is starting from the lower capacity boxes at the edge of the network to higher capacity, terabits of capacity boxes at the core of the network. So that's one part. We're going to expand globally into international sales. We have offices in a few countries in Southeast Asia and in Africa and in North America. We want to increase that so that we can engage with the customers a lot more and really expand our sales into those emerging markets where there's a significant amount of growth happening globally. In addition, we have started to do technology investment in adjacent product areas. So while optical transmission was our core area, which is what we have been getting most of the revenues, we introduced the fiber to the home or GPON products last year, and those are being deployed in the BharatNet project that I mentioned, where we are one of the largest suppliers to the government of India. And secondly, we are continuing to track new technology trends and enhancing our product portfolio in line with that. So as a result, if you can see, our growth is really going in a very interesting way. Just before that, I also wanted to mention that we take a lot of pride in terms of our team. So I mentioned that we have an outstanding management team, and Arnab and Kumar, who's not here, who's a CTO. All people who have done quite well in India and internationally, and as professionals we came together and built up a real startup which is now getting to a point where we're getting publicly listed. In terms of our board of directors, Balakrishnan, who was the CFO of Infosys, is the chairman of our board. Dr. Gururaj Deshpande, who's been an extremely successful entrepreneur, has been an investor in our company from the beginning through Cascade Capital. And then we have a few other independent directors, so it's a majority independent director, and we really feel proud about the governance that we have in the company. In terms of financials, I would just give a few slides. So our business is really driven by top line. So that as the sales growth, our automatically the margins continue to flow into the business. Our costs are quasi-fixed because those are mostly manpower costs, and the bill of material which is related to sales is directly proportional to the sales that we get. And from a capital investments, our majority of the capex is in manpower, which is R&D cost. So as a result, if you see, in the last 3 years from FY15 to FY17, we grew our revenues from 406 crores to 662 crores to 880 crores, which was in the previous financial year. Correspondingly, our gross profit grew from 150 crores in FY15 to 312 crores in FY17. Our operating expenses, which I mentioned, we are starting to get operating leverage because our costs are more or less fixed. So from a 20.2% of our sales, our operating costs have come down to 15.2%. SG&A expenses have come down again, and similarly R&D expenses have come down. While on an absolute basis we are continuing to invest more in R&D, continue to invest more in SG&A, but as a percentage, because of the operating leverage, we are able to see expansion in our margins. So as a result, if you see, our EBITDA has been growing quite healthily. From 668 crores in FY15, our EBITDA went to 174 crores in FY17. Finance costs have come down, and then return on equity from 8.4% in FY16 is up to 14.7% in FY17. And then we had a one-time write-off on certain R&D projects which we did in last year. If you take that away, our return on average equity is around 21%. And similarly, in terms of profit after tax, from 29 crores in FY16, we went to 63 crores in FY17, and if you take the one-time write-off away, it would come to 93 crores. So basically, you can see that as a product company, when we went from 400 crore revenue to 800 crore revenues, we probably added about 100 people in the company. So from 500, we went to 600, and we were able to get the operating leverage. So this is really what I think a knowledge-driven, a technology-driven, IPR-driven company can actually produce, and that is what is really exciting to us, because having started with a vision to build a true technology-driven product company from India, and getting to the point here today is something which we feel very proud about. This is where probably I will pause, and maybe